orthomarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.
Well, hello everybody in podcast land. This is Dean Steinman, President of Ortho Marketing, back with another podcast for you. And today I'm very excited to have with me Dr. Barry Glaser, world-class orthodontist and Invisalign provider to the stars. And there are some stars
Indeed.
out there. There are. Hello, Dr. Glaser. How are you today?
I am stressed, Dean.
Stressed. It's been a crazy week. Today is November 6th, 2020. And anybody that is living on the planet Earth knows that this has been a pretty crazy week here. And everybody's on the edge of their seat trying to figure out what's going to happen for the next 4 years.
That's right.
And, but at the end of the day, we just hope everybody's smiling, and that's all we could do. So,
Exactly.
so we're going to talk a little bit about orthodontics and adults today. And I am now able to talk firsthand about this because for the past 5 or 6 days, I am now a clear aligner wearer. And Dr. Glaser, I'm a patient of his, and I am now a 50-some-odd-year-old adult who decided to finally listen to his expert and listen to the doctor, and he's basically talking for years to you should get my teeth straightened, and finally I jumped in and did it. And so far it's been an interesting journey. And once again, if anybody in podcast land, go obviously take a look at Ortho Marketing's page on YouTube, and you can watch my Invisalign journey and see what happens when I go to Dr. Glaser's office and the steps involved and how great his staff is. But let's talk a little bit about orthodontics and adults, and what the difference is, and why are that many adults using braces or Invisalign? Why are they? What's the benefit of that, etc. So some of the statistics I read, Barry, is that according to the American Association of Orthodontics, that approximately 25% of individuals who are in the orthodontic treatment are adults.
That's right.
All right. Why is that not a larger number in your eyes?
That's an interesting question. It's interesting, Dean, because your perspective as let's say not being an orthodontist is that it seems like a low number, right? Because I think you probably would talk to orthodontists, and we would say, why that seems like a high number. So the history of orthodontics going back, let's say recent history, let's say the last 25 years, is that the percentage of adults that have sought out orthodontic treatment has actually been gradually rising. So it's interesting. I think, again, from if I was with some, let's say, orthodontic colleagues, we'd be like, wow, I'm seeing more adults than ever. Yet your perspective as as a marketer is that it seems like a low number. So let's talk about that a little bit.
It's perception. It really is. I'm looking at the whole pie, and I see a quarter of the pie going towards one segment, and 3/4 go to the other. And I say to myself, why? What causes that? What causes that shift there? Why are only certain demographics doing this, or taking the service, or needing this? Obviously, the majority of people, if you talk to anybody over the age of 25 or 30, 90% of them, you ask them if they had braces or athletic treatment, they say yeah. So it seems like that it's across the board that I didn't as a kid. I had 2 sisters who did, but I have 2 kids who did. So obviously that right there is 4 out of 5 people that had it. So that's a large number there. But as far as adults, is it just because they kind of get settled in their ways, maybe, and they decide not to do it? Because everything that I've read, and in my perception, is the better you look, the better you feel, the better life you have. You feel better about yourself. You walk better. You get the job you want. You get the promotion you want. You get the excellent you want because you feel better about yourself. You have more confidence. And maybe adults don't need the confidence that younger kids do. I don't know. It's
So, well,
interesting.
let me break down the demographic in my practice. So, I'm in a suburban area. We're about an hour north of New York City, so suburban Westchester County. And so in my own practice, so I'm probably a little bit more. I'm probably about 30% adults, but right in that number. And I would say if I had to guess, 90% of those adult patients are female.
Okay.
So there's definitely, at least in my area, there's definitely a gender difference between males and females. And you and I shared this story last, or maybe you and I just discussed it privately. But when that rare adult male comes into my practice, I usually say, well, I don't usually see that many adult males. And almost always they'll say, well,
My
my wife
wife.
made the appointment.
Yep.
So it seems there seems to be a gender difference. Either I don't know if it's men look at, let's say, cosmetic procedures as weakness, but certainly in the plastic surgery industry, I think that a vast majority of the dollars are also spent by females.
Sure. I,
So
I
maybe
agree.
social pressures, to look
Yep.
younger. Whereas a guy, you go bald and you get some gray hair, you could still kind of pull off the distinguished thing.
Sure.
Maybe at least one of us
Right.
can. And but for women, and certainly, I don't think you or I would think that that's right, sort of in a global perspective. But I think there's this pressure, certainly in North America, for women to be attractive, or to feel good about themselves. And I think those pressures tend to drive more of the female patients into my practice than the males.
Yeah, um, which could be right because again, my wife also pushed me to do it for many many years, just as you did, and finally, as a smart man, I say, okay, dear, whatever you want. That's the way, and
Exactly.
happy when mama's happy, everybody's happy, and that's important, and obviously being in this industry, it's good to be on the other side of the fence now too, to go through it and to experience both sides and
Hmm.
to learn what it's like to be a patient in addition to being a marketing expert on it and to be able to know the complete journey. And let's stop back up a bit and let's talk about that. So what I for those of you who don't know how it works, what you do is you go into the doctor's office and he does an initial exam with you to determine if you need orthodontic treatment. If thinks you do, then he first thing he does is he takes some X-rays. Correct?
Hmm.
Is that the first step? That's what we did, and Barry has this really cool new X-ray machine to stand up there, and it runs around your head, and then I guess he sees that from there if your I guess what teeth are strong enough. What do the X-rays show you in order for you to determine next steps?
Well, I could probably talk about that for hours, but fundamentally, you're looking for health. You're looking for health of the teeth, the roots, and the supporting bone, to make sure that there aren't. You're looking for cavities. You're looking at the joints. So you're sort of looking at the overall structure. Would be like, let's say, Dean, if you sent an engineer in to do an inspection and you're looking to buy a house, you're doing a top to bottom inspection of that patient, from X-ray vision, to make
Right.
sure that there aren't any red flags or any dental disease that needs to be corrected before you start thinking about moving their teeth
Hmm.
around.
Okay, so the first step is to do that, and then to see if you're ready for step two, and if the doctor gives you the green light, the next step is you go into the office and they do this really cool scan so they basically put this little magic wand in your mouth, and next thing you know, on a screen you actually see your teeth, and then Dr. Laser then shows you moves it through this artificial intelligence type of software, show you what your smile's going to look like, and can override things and push a button, and you see your teeth moving, and all of a sudden you see where your smile is now and what it'll look like afterwards right in front of your face. It's mind blowing, the technology,
Hmm.
which was really really cool to
Yeah,
see that.
things that are coming down the pike very, very shortly, probably within the next couple of months, are things like in-face visualization, where you're actually going to, if let's say, straighten. So that's an iTero Element scanner. So we do an outcome simulation, which is just kind of a
Mm,
rough draft of where we think what you're going to look like when you're done. But we're
right.
going to actually have that technology right now, where I can then take that simulation and then sort of put your teeth in your mouth, and you could see your face with the straight teeth in your face.
Huh.
There's other companies that, like Dental Monitoring, I know, is kind of come out with something where you can actually be able to see, like, watch yourself on a video, talking and laughing with your straight teeth while you move. I mean, it's so there's a lot of these technologies that I think are going to come out that are great patient education tools. But obviously, you were impressed by that, and I think that that's why I still advocate for doctors that they should do a scan on in every new patient exam, because patients, it's amazing all the time. People will say things like, "Oh, I didn't know it was that bad," or "I just want to straighten one tooth." I get that one all the time, and then,
Right.
you kind of so I think because patients typically underestimate the severity of their problem. I.e., it's just one tooth, and they also underestimate the cost that they think. So they come in and think it's just one tooth. How much could it be? And,
Right.
and I think
Sure.
that so when you show them the simulation, you show them all of your teeth moving and the bite changing, and the fact that you have to then, let's say, manipulate the lower teeth and not just the top teeth. I think that goes a long way to sort of educating patients that it ain't as easy as it looks.
Never is. It
So I
never
think
is.
that visual helps, as opposed to
Right.
me, like trying to sell somebody on it. I think the picture really does the selling. The imaging does the selling for you.
Right. And it did for me because I was able to see what it looked like and move things. And, I'm not going to get the specifics on it, but it's incredible what he was able to show me visually and then go through the steps involved. So then after that, the next step is after that, you come back and that you get in the chair and for Invisalign, that's what I
Mhm.
have is they glue on, what do you even
Well,
call
you're
them?
skipping a few steps in there, but
Oh,
that's
okay.
oh,
All right.
yeah,
Well, listen,
we do a full
this is a
full set
short
of
version
records. I
here.
want all those orthodontists to know that I do a
Right,
full set of
right.
diagnostic records,
Okay.
including intraoral and extraoral photos and a Ceph as
Mhm.
well, and an
Okay.
analysis.
All right.
But yeah, so then the next, and then obviously what you didn't see is
Mhm.
that that simulator is sort of like a light version, but then I have a full suite of 3D tools and a software package called ClinCheck Pro, where I manipulate your teeth even more down the line. And not only you see the before and after, but I also can see that the one thing that you didn't see is the path that your teeth are going to take from A to B. And so that sort of full suite, that ClinCheck Pro 6.0, really it goes into detail on not only before and after, but how the teeth are going to get there. So that kind of happens behind the scenes, when the patient's not around.
This podcast is brought to you by Presentation Multimedia. Presentation Multimedia is a full-service digital marketing agency providing website design, social media management, search engine optimization, digital advertising, and more. For more information, visit presentationmultimedia.com.
There's a little foreshadowing there because then what happens, for my eyes, is we sit down and they start putting it on, and they glue on these little adhesives on your teeth
Attachments.
attachments, okay, that help your brackets, Invisalign aligners stay on your teeth, and and then from there, they show you how to put it on, and they show you how to take them off, and and wash it and clean it. And then what's really cool is there is this really great program, as Barry just mentioned, dental monitoring, which is an app, and it shows you how to move your mouth, and it takes these pictures, or it takes these videos, and it sends the data to the doctor, and through the program, and it tells you if you're ready to move on to the next line or the next tray yet.
Hmm.
um, so what's great about this, I'm a very busy person, and the chance to keep going back an office. My daughter, when was with me, and she's chronological in this whole thing. So if you watch the video, that's a little copyright there by Steinman, who did the editing there.
Hmm.
A little push for her, but um, at the same time,
Those
you're able.
YouTube videos, by the way, are
Exactly.
hilarious. By the way, what's the YouTube channel for that, Dean?
That's for Ortho Marketing. Go to YouTube and just look up and go to Ortho Marketing,
Yeah,
and
you
you'll
got to watch
find it.
Dean's journey, because Dean is you're a funny guy, Dean. It's
Ah,
hilarious.
I'm funny. Wait, I make you laugh?
Like, haha, funny.
Like, what kind of funny? I make you laugh,
What
huh?
am I, a clown? We always got to
Ah,
do movie
there we
quote,
go.
right?
We gotta get it in, of course. um, so which is great is through this new technology now. I don't have to come back to the office much at all. And Lexi was like, "Dad, I had to go all the time. I was there constantly." And now, realistically, I think how often, if I do this right and I am compliant and I do the right thing, how often am I going to have to be coming back to the office to see?
So I don't have a definitive answer for you
Okay.
because we no longer see patients on a specific interval. We used to see patients first it was every 8 weeks, then we stretched it to 12 weeks, and then when they changed the aligners to 16 in the box, we did it 16 weeks. What we're doing now is called appointment on demand. So that means that we're monitoring your treatment virtually using dental monitoring in the scan box on a weekly basis. I have a dental monitoring coordinator, Marisol. She checks your scans every week and alerts me. We have a protocol, a decision tree set up so that she knows when to tell me stuff and when I don't need to know. For example, if everything's going along beautifully, obviously I'm happy about that, but it's not anything that I need to attend to at the moment. So weekly, we are evaluating your teeth, your soft tissues, the movement. That the AI in dental monitoring can actually look at 100, close to 180 different parameters. So
Wow.
cavities, tooth wear, gum recession. I mean, the list goes on and on. So the AI sort of does a lot of the heavy lifting for us, but we always have a human being to sort of check it and look at it. That's my dental monitoring coordinator. So if you're going along swimmingly, we may not see you again. I can't remember. What do you have? 24 in your series?
I think it's 26. I think 24,
26.
26. Yeah.
So potentially, we may, if everything continues to track well, if we don't see any adverse effects, if we don't see any non-tracking teeth, we may not see you again for 26 weeks. We may have to have you come in for IPR, but we have all those things scripted. But patients now come in when they need to. So when do they need to? If a tooth is not tracking, we want to come in and troubleshoot that. If they need to have a new attachment, sometimes you get new attachments along the way, or if one comes off. If you need any IPR, Dean, which is manicuring, sanding in between the teeth to help to make room. I don't think you need any of
Okay.
that. I can't remember. Maybe I did a
Nope.
bit of it, but so specific things we absolutely positively want and need to see patients physically in the office. When you get to the end of your series of aligners, you probably need another batch, and that's called additional aligner or refinement orders. So you'll need to come in for that. But having said that, your aligner schedule changing is going to be customized because at the end of a week when you do your scan, if your teeth aren't ready, you'll be prompted automatically to keep that same aligner set in for a few more days and use your chewies. But you'll come in when you need to come in. And I think that is a brilliant thing. I mean, I have
Sure.
gone. So we went to AOD starting at the pretty much at the beginning of the pandemic. So that was like, let's say, the beginning of March.
Right.
So the volume of patients that I see in my office has gone down so much. First of all, that's a good thing because we want to still
Sure.
adhere to social distancing rules and all that kind of stuff. But it's gone down so much that I went from working 3.5 days a week. I'm actually down to most weeks now 2.5 days a week.
Hmm.
And it's because the patients, we're seeing them virtually. We run a quote unquote virtual clinic, but physically in the office, not as much. And it's good. It's a good
Well,
thing.
think about that, guys. So a practice out there that is still on the fence about, why should I be implementing Invisalign versus traditional, braces. There's your answer. If you can work more efficiently, more effectively, get just as good or even better results using new technologies, and have to work less, and the patients get the good results. Hello,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer.
Right. Now, there's a flip side. There is a
Of
flip
course.
side. And the
Okay.
flip side is people say, yeah, but I'm going to get
It'll
crushed with
cost
the
more.
lab fees and I'm going
Cost
to
me
get
more.
crushed with the
Right.
DM fees. But I can
Right.
tell you that in my practice, that you reach a tipping point where, the office, I used to work 4.5 days a week. So I went from 4.5 days a week to, let's say, 2.5 to 3 days a week, depending on the week that I'm working. So I have half the staff. My staff overhead, the amount that I spend on staff now is lower than it was 15 years ago, and that's with raises and everything else. So even though I'm spending more on my lab bill and on my DM bill, overall my overhead is actually lower than it used to be. So you can do it, but you can't do it like dabbling with Invisalign. I'm 80% share of chair with Invisalign, and you have to do a lot of what clear aligners, whatever it is. I mean, I think
Sure.
Invisalign, in my mind, is far and away the most superior product, for clear aligner treatment. It's the only thing I use. But
Right.
you have to be able to do a lot of it to be efficient. But think about that. Now I'm going to get into a point in my life where I don't, sort of mind that extra bit of time off, but I could easily open a second location. I only have one location. I guess I'm becoming like a dinosaur, but I could easily open up a second location, and do the same thing, if I, it was so inclined to do it. So it's that digital workflow and the efficiencies works if you're digital and you have digital workflows. If you kind of do a little bit of this, a little bit, you're doing some Invisalign, you're doing a lot of analog. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, lots of people do it, but I think if you're
Sure.
looking to sort of get closer to the 4-hour work week mentality, you have to let technology do the things that technology is good at, but yet still do the things that your skill and expertise is good at. I don't mean I'm not a slave to the technology. The technology is a slave to me, and I think that's an important point.
Smart. Well, very well said there. And and that's what's great, great about this. And let's get back, back at one more thing,
Hmm.
we'll close this up, talk a little bit more about, dealing with adult
Adults.
patients. So I'm sure the biggest issue that you've had over the years with patients is compliance.
You bet.
Okay, and adults, obviously are a little more hands-on. They're a little bit more mature. Some of them,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they understand that is a financial responsibility as well. Like kids don't get it. Parents are paying for it. If you're paying for braces, you want to make sure they get the best results possible. So the when I'm sure that you see a larger percent. Obviously now with using technology like dental monitoring and what have you, you see a lot higher compliance. But at the same time, you know, are adults just getting better results because of compliance first?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
It's in
interesting.
fact,
Okay,
it's a paradox. It's the exact opposite. You
interesting.
would
Okay,
think, now not all. There's a lot of what you said is true. Adults have the maturity. They're paying it for themselves. They certainly have, the desire to get their teeth straightened and their bites improved. Having said that, adults are much more rigid and set in their ways. Dean, you and I had a conversation before you hit the record button
hmm,
about, how hard it is for you to make these changes. You want to smoke a cigar, you want to have a snack, and kids are much more pliable and flexible and adaptable.
hmm,
And now, having said that, people say, yeah, but teenagers, they're not compliant. Listen, we get non-compliant teenagers. Don't get me wrong, but if I had to look at the population of, let's say, Invisalign first, those are preteens and my Invisalign comprehensive teen patients versus my population of adult patients, I think it's unquestionable that the teens and the kids are more compliant on a routine basis than the adults.
interesting.
Yeah.
And then, as far as using the dental monitoring program, this has kind of been a game changer, I'm sure, for
Oh,
a
it's a
lot
game
of
changer.
your patients, for you and for them. But think about it. You're a busy mom. And now you don't have to go to the office as
Hmm.
much. Your
Oh
kids
yeah.
get to get the better results, and you know it works across the board and works great for you because you get better results as well, and you now are working less and getting the same things there. So all good, right?
All good. Now, getting
Yeah.
back to the adults, I have absolute. So there's a couple of ways to assess compliance in adults. One is, let's say, overall treatment time. The other might be the number of additional aligner orders. So again, Dean, that means when you get to the end of your batch of aligners, I expect you to be better, but probably not perfect. So and I'll tell you something. And this is from the great Willie Diane.
Right.
Your case, Dean, is like a par four. Now, I don't get up on the tee box on a par four with the driver, 7-iron, and putter in my hand and try and swing all of them at the same time and expect to make a hole in one. So you have a strategy on a par four. It's a dog leg right. So you want to maybe hit a little draw off the tee and kind of put it on the left side of the fairway so you have access to the pin. But your first shot, you want to get the ball on the short grass, right?
Right.
And so that's your first bunch of aligners. Now I walk up to that ball, and if I've kind of put it where I want to, I plan my second shot. Maybe I want to hit a 7-iron, but it's a sucker pin on the right hand side next to water. So I hit the ball deliberately out to the left hand side, to give myself a putt. And if I'm lucky, I'll knock it in for birdie, and if not, I'll tap it in for par. And that's kind of the same idea with your treatment. So each batch of aligners is going to get you closer to the hole, closer to the bullseye. So you can sort of assess patient compliance by looking at the number of additional aligners that you have to order. And what we're seeing, and in fact, we're going to do a podcast next week with Mark Van Weel. There's a study out of Australia that specifically looks at this. appointments, number of additional aligners, treatment time, and it seems quite obvious that the patients that are on DM, dental monitoring, are having less adults, and teens, less additional aligner orders and shorter treatment times, and I think it's because of accountability. And maybe we've talked about this before, but I think it's worthwhile to talk about Weight Watchers just for a minute.
Sure.
So Weight Watchers have Weight Watchers Studios. They provide several things for Weight Watchers Studios, convenient locations. They supply you with support. You can go and you could talk to counselors, about your weight loss plan. And they also have your weekly weigh-ins.
Right.
So you have to step on the scale every week. So it's kind of like, now the one thing that Weight Watchers should do, now that I think about it, is they should provide patients with, instead of having to go to the Weight Watchers studio to step on the scale, you should be able to have a little doohickey that hooks up to your scale where you can do it from home, and it electronically we should invent that, Dean. Electronically sends the weight to Weight Watchers, so do remote weight monitoring. But having said that, there's a reason that Weight Watchers invested in all these these studios, because it works, because their clients are more successful with their weight loss, because they, if you're going to step on the scale on Friday, maybe you think twice about the Reese's peanut butter cups on Wednesday.
No, don't think about the Reese's. Throw something else out.
I used to say Twinkies, but I said the Reese's peanut butter cups just for you. But it works because people think, someone's going to be looking over my shoulder, and it works. It helps to keep people more honest. It helps to keep people more compliant, and that's why dental monitoring, in addition to being efficient for all of those other reasons, if you can, let's say, reduce the number of additional aligner orders for your adult patients by 1, you're going to save a ton of time, and time is money. And so I think that's another amazing thing about DM, is that it helps to keep adult patients and teens, on the straight and narrow.
Great. All right. So with that said, we're going to kind of cut this off here now. So, so those out there that are listening, if you're, hopefully you'll learn something as far as, new technologies, market share, working with different demographics, and being open to change. We've been this many times. You have to adapt or die. And if there is technologies out there that's going to make you a better provider, it's going to make you more efficient, more effective, and get better results for your patients, well, hello. What are you waiting for? So
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better, Dean.
Right. So with that said, come up with a strategy, guys, to market to parents, to adults. You're missing out. There's just as many adults out there as there are kids, and why not open up the practice to that? Look outside, look past the forest through the trees.
And listen, based on our conversation, I mean, the greatest untapped resource in orthodontics, obviously, is adult males.
Right, exactly, because you probably could count on just your fingers how many adult males you've had over the years. There, it's pretty nuts. So if you get a chance, guys, think out of the box. It's important to do so. And with that said, adapt, guys, and
or die.
Exactly. So, Dr. Glaser, thanks so much for everything. Guys, keep in tune, and you will watch and you will see the next step of my journey. We will be
go to YouTube, and it's Ortho Marketing. Is it Ortho Marketing or just Ortho Marketing?
Just Ortho Marketing. Just do a search
on YouTube.
Ortho Marketing. We'll go to the.
Can they like your channel too? Is that how they would do that?
Subscribe to it. Yep, and then you'll see every time. You'll be alerted when you'll see when a new video is put up there. And it kind of give you an idea of what's going on the other side of the fence, and it's kind of interesting because obviously most people are seeing teens and kids, and when there is a whole big market out there to target, and I'm excited to be one of the trailblazers in this market there. So
we're very excited to have you, Dean.
Thank you. So and Dr. Glaser, thanks so much for everything, and everybody out there in podcast land, be safe. Thanks for voting, and enjoy. All right, be well. Bye.
OrthoMarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.